You got, 6, 7, 8-year-old kids going through chemo, stuff that adults have a hard time going through, and they're doing it alone. So this is something that's really going to make a difference in their life because they're going to read this book, they're going to go on adventures with their stuffed animal, and then at the
To another one-on-one session of the Treehouse. Today we have a guest star, Russell Allen, with us. Russell, how would you introduce yourself to people who don't know you?
I am an author, a podcaster, a promoter, a card game creator, a comic writer, a dad. I wear many hats, not just this one. I have like 14 hats that I wear. It's the dad life. I'm a creator.
That's right.
That's very creative.
There you
That's
go.
the
There you
easiest way to
go.
put it.
How did it start? How did you think I want to combine charity and comics?
Well, so for the people that don't know, my son has had two open heart surgeries. He had an open heart surgery at a week old, and he had open heart surgery at 2.5. We've had 3 cardiac casts where they've gone in and they've had to put a stent in his aorta. It was like, we were blindsided with this surgery. We go in, we're in this telephone booth room for 12 hours waiting to hear how our son's doing. Stairs, they take him off the paralytic. He's moving around. He's in a lot of pain. How do you convince a 2.5-year-old to sit still? I mean, come on. And
Yeah.
so we're like, what do we do? We're stressed out. We're like, man, I hate to say it, but we don't want to deal with this. And so we're like, paralyze him again. No, I'm just kidding. We didn't say that. But the nurse comes walking in with a Spider-Man Hot Wheel. I mean, we're talking a 99-cent toy. And like all of a sudden he's just sitting there playing with it. And we're just like, oh, thank God. And we sit down on the couch and we're there holding each other and we're trying to be there for each other. We're trying to de-stress for the day because I mean, 12 hours of that is literally hell. I mean, we don't know if we're ever going to see our kid again. And so I was like, man, I'm a big person about giving back. If you receive, it's kind of like the whole pay it forward thing, but I like to do it tenfold. I like to go crazy with it and be like, we're going to blow this up. That's it.
I,
I'm a Titan for CB4K. So
I'm
that's the
so.
image right there. That's me reading a book to my son after an open heart surgery with Sissy at the end of the bed. So
Hmm.
this is what started it all. This is what started, me becoming a member of CB4K. So in November, we went and hung out with Steph and Carrie. Carrie's like, hey, why don't you write a comic book? They don't really have any comic books that are just like strictly meant for kids with disabilities or that are in the hospital and cancer centers. So I was tasked with that. It took me 2 months to figure out something. I jumped up in bed and I told my wife, I'm like, I got it. And she's like, what, you got COVID? What do you got? And I'm like, I got the idea. What's the one thing Roderick always takes to the hospital with him when he has an open heart surgery? CatCat, his stuffed animal. I'm like, what if we write a book with Roderick and Adriana in it? Because Roderick is a critical illness child. Kids are going to bond with that. But what if they gained superpowers from their stuffed animals and they became their stuffed animals? Like, you remember Mario when they turned into the raccoon, he had the raccoon suit. Well,
Yeah.
and so it was like kind of the same idea. Like, what if they wore a suit that matched their stuffed animal? So I wrote a script. So in like February, I called Mark and I'm like, hey, Mark, yeah, we had this great idea that we were going to publish this comic book meant specifically for kids that are in the hospital. And it's CatCat and Piggy Girl, and I'm kickstarting it in a month. And he's like, really? You've been doing all that? And I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, it's going to be awesome. He's like, I love it. I love the idea. So that's kind of how came to be. I mean, the charity was already there, the comic books were already there, but there's really not comic books directed directly at those kids. So the really cool thing about this is kids are going to either have their stuffed animals or stuffed animals that they got from CB4K. They're going to get this book and they're going to read it. And, they're not only is the book going to give them escapism from what's going on in their life, they're going to be able to go on adventures with their own stuffed animal.
Hmm.
They could write their own comic, and this is something that's going to take their mind out of what's going on with. It's also, for other kids that read this book to understand a little bit of, just because they have disabilities, just because they have these critical illnesses that prevent them from doing things that normal kids do, they can still be superheroes. They can still do special things. Now that I'm a member of CB4K, this is my chance to give back tenfold, to be able to send these books to hospitals and cancer centers across the nation. I mean, where we're sitting at right now on the Kickstarter at 3,500, we're looking at being able to send 2,000 copies, no overhead on that.
Hmm.
After the 10% fees, all that money is going straight to printing books to send to hospitals and cancer
This
centers.
is such an important work. I think more people need to do it. More people need to know about it. More people also need to know how they can give back. I'd love to make a big push in this community to rally behind, charity in comics in general. I'm working on something personally, trying to do just this, but I would love to talk to you and Mark some more about how I can help more.
Yeah.
And, if there's anything I can kind of do, always feel free to reach out. I will say that I'm going to back this. I already know which one I want. I want all 4 covers right here for 100. Um, and I'll do it hopefully right after, at the end of this stream, um, because I don't want to get doxxed on the internet. But it's one of these things where I immediately saw, how important the work was, and hearing your passion and of course your reasons why you're doing it. I think we need more of that in the community. And I also want to say that a lot of times, people are drawn to the success stories. People are drawn to, of course, when people are successful, all the big numbers raising, but it's just as important or even more important. And people want to hear the struggles that people have. You've mentioned that your first book didn't fund. Now this is your fourth book, and now you're kind of pivoting, kind of revamping, and you didn't give up. Is basically what I wanted to show people. I think that's important as well. It's part of
Absolutely.
what you're doing, what we're all doing here in the indie comic community, trying to raise it, trying to really raise it into an industry. And it's something where, yeah, at first it doesn't matter, it doesn't, you fail, you relaunch, then you succeed, and then you kind of do more projects. And then, this project, your first project led directly to this one. But between your artist with Steph Wilson and, how he drew your character, that bed. And yeah, you just take all your experiences and then you make the next one better. So I definitely see the trajectory of where your growth is, and your journey. And I think that's important for any newfound creator. Is there anything you want to kind of say? Any advice you can give to new creators who maybe want to help, don't know how, or who are having trouble struggling? Um,
But if you want, the biggest advice that you could get is ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask people in the community. When you start dipping your toes in the community and you have people that become friends with you and that they're going to want to help you, they're going to reach out and ask you if you need help. Take the advice, ask for help. If you don't understand something on Kickstarter, ask somebody, because we're all veterans at doing this. That was kind of what I did with my first project, and I had a lot of help from a lot of creators in the community. Did it fail still? Yeah, but it's about not giving up. If I would have given up, I wouldn't have this sitting here right now. I didn't give up.